Hello everyone, and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 fastest sports cars in GTA Online in 2023. And also please do remember to subscribe because I upload at least once every 2 to 3 days. So please subscribe. I also do want to quickly mention that I will be having a few honorable mentions near the end of the video, so make sure you keep watching for that. So starting off at the number 5 slot, we have the Corsita. So this car, straight off the bat, is in my opinion a bargain. You pay about 1.6, 1.7 million, right in between there. And you get an insanely fast accelerating car with an extremely high top speed. And this car is definitely faster than some supercars. The main downside of this car is the handling. It could take some wider corners, definitely okay, but you will start to slide out near the end of the turn and you will crash. But this thing is pretty easy to spin out in. It's not the greatest in the handling unless it's like a wide corner like this one right here. Yeah, see it just kind of spinning out right there, sliding out right there. But it is still a really good car, and I think it honestly should have deserved to rank a little higher on this list, but it unfortunately didn't quite make it up there. Anyways, that is it for the number 5 slot. Let's move on to the number 4 slot. Next up on the list, we of course have the Obey 10F. So I used to own one of these, but unfortunately I sold it. But this is just some old footage of me driving around in it. But this ranks in the number 4 slot because this car is just really good at handling. Has insane acceleration, like really good. It's just really good, and I just think it belongs in the number 4 slot. It's not nearly as fast as some of the other cars on this list, but this car also just looks so damn good, and because it's of course based off of the Audi R8. And as you can see here, we're moving right around 130-ish, which is pretty good. Now, I'm not sure if this car has the slow handling flags or not, but it probably doesn't. But this car, I think you pay around 1.6, 1.7 for it as well. And yes, this is also including the wide body variant, the 10F and the 10F wide body. These two cars, same car, they're really fast. It's a great sports car. You get a good price for it. It looks so good. Plenty of customization. This car just belongs on the number 4 slot. Anyways, that is it for the number 4 slot. Let's move on to the number 3 slot. Next up, we have the Italy RSX. So straight off the bat, this thing is a monster when it comes to speed. It says a really good high top speed. It has absolutely insane acceleration, really good traction. Just everything that a sports car needs to be good, this car has it. It is, however, pretty pricey. The trade price here is around 2.6 million, and without the trade price, it's somewhere in 3 millions, I think. But it is still a pretty expensive car. And I think why the car costs so much is both, of course, for how good it is in its performance, and also just how good it is, like the looks. It just looks so good. I believe it's based off of like a Ferrari SF90 and a Ferrari 296 GTB, but this car looks beautiful. I know this isn't a best looking car thing, but it's still definitely a really fast car. But I would only recommend buying this if you have quite a bit of money in the game, but it's still a really good car. So that's it for the number 3 slot. Let's move on to the number 2 slot. So in the number 2 slot, we have the Italy GTO. So this car costs significantly less than the last car. So if you didn't know already, this car in real life is based off a Ferrari 812 Superfast, and the name says what it is, super fast, but in GTA it's called the GTO. This car, in my opinion, it's a kind of a bargain a little bit for what you get. This definitely beats some supercars, absolutely. Some of the better supercars, this car beats it. It costs around $2 million, which is actually a pretty good price. And what I'm about to say is actually the last thing that I said with the RSX, but the performance, everything you need in a sports car is what this car also has as well. So it does have a different look to it, but at this point, if you're debating about getting an RSX or an Italy GTO, you probably would get the RSX if you like the looks better. If you want it just more for performance, you probably would get the GTO. Anyways, that's it for the number 2 slot. Let's move on to the number 1 slot. Actually, before we jump into number 1, I do want to go over the honorable mentions. For the first honorable mention, we have the Paragon R. This car is really quick, and it also looks really good. Our next mention is the ZR380, and this is primarily here because just of how good its top speed is. It has a really good top speed. Our next mention is the Comet D10. This, first of all, I want to mention how good it looks. It's a really good design car. It's really fast. I think that's pretty good top speed as well, but it just didn't quite make it into the top 5, but it's still a really fast car. Our next mention is the Comet S2, and this also does include the Comet S2 Cabrio because they basically have the same performance. This car, you can make it basically look like any Porsche variant that you want. This car is very fast, and unfortunately it still did not make it quite into the top 5, but it's still a very fast car. Next honorable mention is the Neo, and this is actually the only car in the brand called Visor, I think it is. Anyways, in my opinion, this is actually kind of an underrated car. It looks pretty decent in my opinion. It's just fast and it's just good, but it just didn't quite make it into the top 5, but it's still definitely, I would say, an underrated car. Moving on to our last honorable mention, we of course have the Calico GTF. This thing, if you have the trade price, is kind of a bargain. It's primarily on this list because of like kind of its top speed. It's a tuner's car, so you could like lower the suspension through the interaction menu, and then it can go pretty quick. But this car primarily, it would say this would probably be in a top 10 list, but this is still a pretty good car. Anyways, it is now time to move on to the number 1 fastest sports car in GTA Online in 2023. And if you've ever played GTA Online before, you probably know what it is. It is, of course, the Ocelot Pariah. So, this is primarily, you could argue that the Italy GTO is actually faster in lap time, and I think it might be. But on a drag strip, I think this is the fastest car in the sports class. This thing has such a high top speed. I want to say it's 136, if I'm right. But if you did want to make this car better at handling and all that, you can of course just put the spoiler upgrade on it so it has better traction and handling. But this car's top speed is honestly kind of unbelievable, and this is absolutely worth your money. 1.4 million, that is a bargain. That's a steal. But yeah, if you're looking for a super quick car and you don't have that much money, or okay, this is still a lot of money, but if you have around this kind of amount of money and you're willing to spend something on a bargain car, this is definitely one of the cars, the Ocelot Pariah. And also, please do comment below of what you thought of my top 5 list. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.